Welcome to Ray's Talk Show, the talk show where thought leaders share insights on personal development, career growth, and online platform building. And here's your host, your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo. Welcome back to Ray's Talk Show. The talk show helps people find wealth in their voice through personal satisfaction in life. Thank you so much for joining us. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo.com. This is your virtual big brother, Ray Collazo, and we're so blessed to have someone that the more we get to talk to each other, turns out we've probably known each other for quite some time, but some great mutual friends have brought us back together for this collaboration. Blogger and really one of our emerging national Latina leaders, Lola Acevedo from the Lola Chronicles. Lola, welcome to Ray's Talk Show.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody.
This is really exciting. I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of Lola, not only on Ray's Talk Show, but more in these kind of platforms. Your appearance on Ray's Talk Show is very timely. For those not familiar with Lola Acevedo from the Lola Chronicles, Lola's a lifestyle blogger based out of Delaware. Yes, there are strong Latinas in Delaware, no doubt.
Yes.
Representing for the 302, Lola brings a unique perspective on love, sex, politics, and community through her personal experiences. Through her hashtag Kindness is Contagious campaign, Lola's a community leader, also someone that's a leader for particularly Latina professionals in the wellness space, and one of our Latinas in motion, representing for the runners out there. So, Lola Acevedo, thank you so much for joining Ray's Talk Show.
Thank you.
So, Lola, you've accomplished so much in not only as a community leader throughout the region and with your blog, but this the Lola Chronicles is not the beginning of your journey. So, Lola Acevedo, where did this journey begin for you?
The very beginning, probably, it started in New York. I was a community organizer working for St. Nick's, helping Nidia Velasquez get elected. So that was many, many moons ago. And I decided that it was time for a change. My niece was diagnosed as being deaf, and my sister moved to Delaware. And she was here alone. I'm the last of 7 children. So I was the last one left in New York City. My sister needed someone to come out and branch out to Delaware, and I ended up here. Everything kind of changed. I was always volunteering a lot. That was always my thing. My community was very important to me. The daughter of a Puerto Rican national and a Dominican immigrant mom, it was very, I grew up in a really political atmosphere, for the time. And when I got to Delaware, I decided I want to keep writing. I used to write on like my high school paper, my junior paper, my junior high school paper, my high school paper, and decided I just wanted to keep going. But then life stopped. I had children, I got married, I had children. I did the whole, it's time to move into the next aspect of my life. And then I realized after I was getting a divorce, after 13 years, that I had forgotten, I had lost myself, and I needed to come back into my groove, and understand that, that I was worthy and that life, I was only going to be a better person by loving myself. I was going to be a better mother and a better human being for my sons. I have twin boys, and that's really where it started. It was kind of a reemergence of sorts. I wanted to make sure that I could be the best that I could be, because I needed to be that for them. Not only for myself, but for them. It was really important. I think that's really where everything kind of began.
Lola, it's perfect timing. We're having this conversation because by coincidence, but maybe not coincidence, right? I think it was fate in some level. The episode I released of the podcast version of the show, which you can download on iTunes or anywhere you can download a podcast now on Google Play, by the way. So even the Android side, as of a few days ago, that it was a discussion we had on the show about a month ago concerning how to deal with life's crossroads. And oftentimes when we have these crossroads, we struggle with this concept of kind of which way do we go. And part of the theory I put on the my comment on that on the show that we released today was that I really believe it's not that we're really confused as to where to go. We kind of know which way to go. If not, we wouldn't have a crossroads, right? But that turn has a big toll on it, and the question is, are we willing to pay the price, and be able to embrace that challenge, embrace that change? So Lola, when you were going through, in this case, a very personal challenge, and can be very stressful, and many people sort of quite honestly sort of wilt away during those times. What gave you the strength to embrace that challenge in your life?
I think the most important thing where I got the most strength from was from faith, was remembering that there's always something higher, something bigger than me, and recognizing that as bad as my situation could be, there's always somebody in a position worse than mine. And I think that's really how I started to tackle things in the beginning. I want to say hello to my niece, Janice Aileen, because she just logged on.
Absolutely. We're all about shout out to Mama. Don't worry about it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Okay, so I want to say hello to Janice. So I think that that's where, I had to make a choice, a decision. And my faith, it really carried me. And I'm very lucky to have a mother that is incredibly empowered. She came here from the Dominican Republic with, a 6th grade education, and she built her own business from the ground up. She opened up salons in New York, which many Dominican women do.
Absolutely.
Right?
And they open them up all over the country. Doesn't matter if it's a Latino neighborhood. They just open them up. God bless our entrepreneurial Dominicana. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you see that big old sign, Dominican Salon, and people go running. And she was amazing because with the health issue that we'll talk about later, my father died when he was 44 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was it was a cancer that derived from the long-term effects of diabetes. So my mother knew what it was like to become a single mom at a young age, and she pushed me, and she told me, this is not the end all be all. This is not where everything stops. This is where everything begins, Lola. And that had a lot to do with it. I had a very strong foundation, very strong women in my family. My aunts, my mother, my grandmother, they all provided a really strong foundation for me. And I don't think, had I not had that upbringing, I don't know if it would have been, if everything would have turned out the same way. I think that having that was a huge part of the success.
That's great. And speaking of shout outs, want to shout out Rosalinda Roman, who I met on Blab earlier today, who has the New Mexicast, I believe is how you call it, charting her travels from the Southwest worldwide, and definitely want to connect with her as to our emerging network of Latina podcasters. And also Claudia Santiago, Chilena, who lives in Vancouver, Canada, Lola of all things, who's an entertainer up there, singer, entertainer, and a great member of the Blab and podcast community. So much respect to Claudia. And we're going to open the chairs in a few moments. Lorraine Laddish is in the building. A lot of strong Latinas. I feel like I'm levitating with all this Latina power energy around me. So Lola, the thing you hit on in your first answer, which I wanted to get back to, is the concept of investing in yourself. And that's one of the things about your story that's so powerful, because many times when we get in a situation, particularly women, again, dealing with these challenges in their personal life, is that they turn to the instinct of just being more selfless. And well, now it's all for the kids, and now it's all for others. And that's the way I'm going.
It's easy to fall into that.
It is very easy. So what's your message and your blogging, your content, and your inspirational speaking and training? I know you do workshops for women and people in the community to help them understand that the power of you must invest in yourself to truly serve others.
It is. And I think the main thing that I try to tell everyone, and it's like my hashtag everywhere, is that your dreams don't have an expiration date. So you need to repeat that,
Lola. Repeat that. I need to hear that twice.
Your dreams don't have an expiration date. So if whatever you couldn't do today doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow. So you can't worry about the past. The big part is understanding that you can do it. It's that confidence, that belief, that worthiness, understanding that even though your situation doesn't seem like you can feel worthy, you are worthy, and you have value. And what you give out has value. What you tell people has value. And the bottom line is you have to respect yourself, and then people respect you. It's not a matter of you're just going to go out into the world and decide, oh yeah, I'm going to do this tomorrow. We all know it's not that easy, right? But by just looking at yourself in the mirror and loving the person that's in front of you for who they are with their imperfections, because you have to love yourself with your imperfections, then you recognize that, everything's possible. And then other people kind of fall into that with you. And that that builds. You just begin to build one person on top of the other, one human being with another. And you realize that, yeah, I started to do this one thing and I thought it was great and I accomplished it and that's fantastic. And okay, I'm done with that. So what's next? And that's how it really begins. You start telling yourself, where can I go now? Where am I going now? I did that. I didn't think I could do that 2 years ago. I mean, if you would have told me that I would have been writing for for an online newspaper, which is El Tiempo Hispano, which I have an article on El Tiempo Hispano, and that I have an actual op-ed, I'm an op-ed writer for Voz Latina a year ago. If you would have told me that I was going to do that in a year, I would have said, maybe not, but I pushed it and I believed in myself. And I was really lucky. I had a lot of great, strong people believing in what I was saying. They understood me. They understood that this is a process. Your journey is a process. It starts today, but it never ends. You have to keep growing. You have to keep feeding yourself, and you have to keep understand. You have to be humble, and you have to understand that you have to give back. It isn't only about me. It's about that now I see that people are listening to me, and I have to be responsible with that. Yes. And I have to love myself to show, young Latinos and anybody in general. But I mean, really, I'm a woman of color. This is it. Okay. You're not looking at somebody who does what I'm doing every day. And I wish I would have had that when I was a young girl, and now as a grown woman, even I still have some of the inboxes and the emails that I get. People get very private. They read some of my articles and they really spill it out. And they're like, Diana, this is what I'm going through. I want to know, what do you think about this? How does it feel? And I always go back to the same thing. It is that love yourself a little more each day. Remember that, that you have value, that no one can tell you that you cannot do something. That's not acceptable. That's, remove it from your vocabulary.
That's right. And wow, Lola, I mean, you that answer has I'm going to be backlogged with questions and follow up because you really hit on so many things. And really, Lola, and I have to give a shout out to our great mutual friend, Tabitha Castro, who brought us together here. And Tabitha is just an incredible life force, that woman. And I believe we're related somehow through marriage of cousins and relatives. Probably. And just a great spirit. And I think that's why she brought us together on this conversation, Lola, because you basically summed up why I started doing. We just have no idea. There was a couple of people that, my birthday was in the fall, and I got a few messages on Facebook. And I mean, these aren't people I didn't even feel I was particularly close to, but things I had done for them because I was just gave them a little bit of time and opened myself, because I do try to be pendiente of what I'm doing, because you never realize how much people are paying attention and how much the impact you have on others. So Lola, your spirit's incredible. I wanted to ask you because one of the other thing you said that resonated with me so strongly is that it's never too late. No. And one of the things that I find, even on silly things like, oh, well, I'm too old to learn about Snapchat, or I feel like it's kind of because I have family and I'm established and I'm kind of past that stage to dream or reinvent myself online. And that's for kids. And it's such bullshit, it is. And I know that comes from a feeling of that self-listing again, right? So talk to me about how you at this stage of your life have gotten past that, and what's your message to other people that maybe are that want to start a blog or want to develop express themselves but are a little timid to do so.
The first thing I'd say is, remember, when you remain fearlessly authentic, people are going to see that. So if you're going to try to bullshit people day in and day out, they're going to catch you. They're going to get it. They're going to know that that's not what you're about. And I think what makes me relatable is I'm very authentic and I'm very honest in the things that I say, even when it leaves me a little bit vulnerable, because there's beauty in the scars. So you have to understand that. Yeah, there's beauty in the stars. So we have to recognize that all of us are perfectly imperfect, and no one should set the expectation for themselves to be higher or just say, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what fulfills me spiritually, emotionally, physically, whatever it is, and do what makes you happy. It has to make you happy. There's so many people that tell you over and over, a job is a job, but it's not a job if it makes you happy. And I've heard that over and over. Well, the work getting there is hard, but it's so incredibly fulfilling. And because when you're doing something that you love and you feel like you're making a dent, an honest dent into how things are, how people talk about things, the conversation. My blog stimulates a lot of conversation. It makes, the majority of the people that listen to me are women, but I do have male subscribers, and they comment and they tell me. Sometimes I'll throw a survey out. I just want to see, like, what's going on. Tell me what you think about this. Or I'll write something that's a current topic for the day, and everybody kind of chimes in. And that's when I knew. That's kind of when I said, hey, wait a minute. I love this. Why not share it? So maybe if you make the decision to choose something that you love, that you really want to nourish and allow it to grow, then you should do that. And you should remember that loving yourself and caring for yourself is incredibly important. And that only makes you a better human being. Honestly, it makes you a better human being. It has made me a better mother. It has made me a better friend. It has made me a better everything. It's remaining honest and genuine and, cutting through the bullshit. I do have like a little, because sometimes people can misinterpret what you're trying to get across. And they try to, and they'll criticize and they'll whatever. Guess what? Yo no vivo con las opiniones, y las opiniones no viven conmigo. So I can't bother myself with that anymore. And I think that those are just obstacles, kind of, that I say sometimes the devil tries to get in your way and you can't let him. You always got to be God's girl. And that is how I live. That is how it took me a long time to get there, because that didn't happen overnight. That was a long process. There was a lot of journaling that I did. There was a lot of sleepless nights that sometimes I still have when I'm thinking about things. I'm only human. But I think a lot of it has to be that you remain authentic and that you remember that those dreams, they don't have an expiration date. Just because you couldn't do it today doesn't mean you can't do it tomorrow. So when you mentioned the older people, because, you compare the millennials to the baby boomers, right? And then you're saying, okay, how are we going to get the new seniors coming out? How do I get them to go on Snapchat to do whatever? I'm a financial coach for a 50 plus program. Okay. It's called Stand By Me 50 plus. So we try to empower seniors to live a better lifestyle and how to budget. And there are plenty of programs. Most of the people I deal with are like 100% under the poverty level. So I'm really able to make a change in their lives, but they're really making it for themselves. I don't make their decisions. But I see so many seniors now, I can't believe it. Pulling up Instagram, looking at their Facebook. Sometimes they come in and look, I got a new phone, simple little things, and you get a senior. How do I add this to my phone? But they're making the attempt. So it's never too late.
They're growing.
Yeah, they're growing. It's never too late. They're continuing to nurture themselves. And that's important. Y eso te mantiene joven también.
That's exactly right. That's right. Because they still have so much to share. There's no question about it. And so much we can learn from them. You're listening to Lola Acevedo, a blogger and really one of our leaders, really, and a great life force and a great friend to Ray's Talk Show. You're going to be seeing here a lot. Going to be a big part of the Ray's Talk Show community. Lola, let people know where they can find your blog and find you on social media before we get to the next segment, and open the chairs here for your audience, your fans, or just chomping at the bit to get involved in this conversation.
Well, you can go to the LolaChronicles.com and see my blog there, or you can log on to Facebook, onto the Lola Chronicles at Facebook, and see it there. I also put it on my regular page, which is Diana Lola Acevedo&nbsp, and that's also on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram at _the Lola Chronicles.
Absolutely. And again, you're watching and listening to Ray's Talk Show. Thank you so much, the live viewers and anyone that catches the show, either the replay on BigBrotherRay.com or as a podcast, which again, you can download on iTunes or anywhere you can download a podcast, including now Google Play, which is a very exciting development, which just happened this week, Lola. So, and Lola, you have an event coming up. Make sure we shout out your, and again, you're checking out the Lola Acevedo from the Lola Chronicles.com here on Race Talk Show. And again, with Lola. Lola, I wanted to ask you about your commitment to wellness. I know it's a big part of your message, and wanted you to share kind of how this became such a big part of your life and the message you share with the community.
Kind of cut off, Ray. I didn't hear. I think, but the wellness factor.
Okay. Can you? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Okay. Can you hear me now?
So that started 4 years ago. It's going to be 5 years in June that I decided that I needed to make change. Mm-hmm. I was diagnosed as pre-diabetic. And my father, my grandfather, and my brother all died from cancers related to the long-term effects of diabetes. So my father, like I said, was only 44. My brother was 54, my eldest brother, when he passed. And he was a transplant recipient, and still, unfortunately, he contracted cancer on the new liver. And I think that's where it started. I became pre-diabetic and then newly divorced, raising my sons on my own here. And I decided I needed to make a change, a physical change, a health change for myself, and be around for my sons. It had to do with me, but the health part of it had a lot to do with wanting to live my life, a better life. And when I was talking before about, the spiritual aspect of it, of how important that was, that health part was a part of that. That emotional and spiritual health, it turned into my physical well-being and the transformation that happens. And I kept going and going and going. And, I started with little things. I never knew who it was. I know one day I turned on the radio, right? And the lady was talking about health or something. I was on my way to work, no big deal. But she started to make a lot of sense. And she said, it starts with a small thing. So today, instead of taking the elevator, take the steps. And that's what I did. I started to take the steps. And the steps started in doing a walk every day. And from walking every day, I decided to start changing. I cut out soda. I did there were a lot of other things that I did to get there. But I used to weigh 327 pounds. And here I am. So, and that took almost 5 years. And I tell that to people, because I have no shame in it. That was a part of my process and a part of my journey. Yeah, and part of my journey.
Amazing.
I had to do,
That's amazing. I would have never known that.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
never
you have
would have
to,
thought
I
that.
think,
That's incredible.
mm-hmm.
Wow, that's
and
really
then
inspirational.
Along that journey, last year in August, I want to say, I kept seeing these Latinas in motion, right? This whole, this like movement that was happening, a small group, and they were meeting for these walks in Glasgow Park, which is a park near where I live. And I said, all right, you know what? I kept seeing the little post. I said, you know what? Boy, let me go out and see and meet them. And when I met them, we ended up kind of, I met a few women there, quite a few women that had very different journeys, of the process. I mean, everybody was just such an eclectic group of women, and it was incredible to write about. I have to tell you, because many of a lot of them have come to me and said, Diana, I'd like you to write about this, or what do you think about that? Or they tell me their stories, and their stories, I found them to be so inspirational, because what I was saying in the beginning is that you think your situation is rough, man. And then sometimes somebody tells you something and you say, you know what, guess what? I don't have it that bad. Yeah. It could have been worse. I thought I hit rock bottom, but I didn't, because God didn't let me. Okay. But God made the woman that allowed this woman to stand. Like he built me, and my mother built me, and that allowed me to do what I needed to do. But that didn't happen overnight. That whole health, that's still a process now. I mean, the people who really know me know that the whole health issue, I'm still battling that. That's still a hard, that's still a long time. That's still a journey. And you fluctuate a couple of pounds here, a couple of pounds there, up and down. But you have to keep going, keep finding a purpose, a reason. And all of that comes from that worthiness, that self-esteem. And every day is not cotton candy and rainbows, okay? Because I'd be a bullshitter. It is not like that. It's not serious. Listen, a sister
Just
got to
six
have a
days a week.
cheeseburger like anybody else, okay? I have to,
Cheating.
shit happens. Shit happens. But it was a long process. I'm still at it. I'm not done. And I really think that for me, with the other health concerns, I also have high blood pressure. I decided that in order to help me get to where I needed to go, I needed to share it.
Yeah.
I need to start telling people, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? Tell me what works for you. This is working for me. Let's, you're going to that workout class. You know what? Let me join you today. I'm going to try that. And, sometimes, you can't do it and your body, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. So I can't be out there with the 20-year-olds thinking I could be like, oh yeah, we're going to do this 10K right now. But in December, I did my first 5K in the Bronx.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did with the Bellas. The Bellas are the Latinas in Motion from New York City.
Awesome.
And that was my first 5K there. And then Tabitha and I and Marilyn Cintron Castro, we did the MLK 5K in January. And then for Easter Sunday, I did another 5K on Easter Sunday. So sometimes you jog it, sometimes you run it, sometimes you walk it, whatever works for you. But I'm trying to build that. And I think the awareness that's necessary, I started to take my children out with me now, because I think it needs to be, I need to pass it on to them. And health is a very, the Latino diet consists of high carbs, high fats, fried foods.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
Yeah, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, white rice, arroz todos los días, and if you like, and if you like honto or more, or if you like moro, that's rice and beans, that's double carbs right there.
So red meat everywhere. Yeah.
Red meat everywhere. So let's try. I'm just trying to make small changes that'll have even a little bit of impact. But for me, it's a journey. I'm still at it. It's hard. It's hard.
I hear you. It's not easy, and let me tell you, Lola, you've already inspired me, because you had put something, I think it was on Instagram, one of your social media posts the other day, about sugar. And I think it said something to the effect of, no more than 25 grams of sugar. And I never thought of it that way. And now I've been more, literally, you've really helped me a lot over the last 10 days or so. I've really watched sugar. I look at the stuff and I'm like, wow, that's 7, that's 5. I really need to, and I don't even think I particularly have a sweet tooth necessarily. It's just, if you're not thinking about it, you have one soda, you have two snacks, and it's way more sugar than we have. And I actually have on my father's side as well diabetes. Both my grandfather and father have lived with diabetes, so I got to be careful, right? So it's so thank you, Lola, because the way you laid it out on that blog, on that social media post with the graphic, and I forget what you said exactly, but it really stuck with me.
Sodas. It had all the different. I think you're talking about the one with all the different drinks.
Yeah.
It had water. It had water first, and then it showed you all the way down to a can of soda. So it's what the iced tea has in it, what the juices have in it, etc., and the amount of sugars that were incorporated in that, and that a can of soda, just one 12-ounce can of soda, has almost twice the amount of sugar intake that you need for the entire day.
That's right. Yeah. Well, soda's you just
the devil incarnate. It's the devil incarnate. I tell people it is the devil incarnate. But the rum and Coke, it just doesn't taste the same without it.
No, you do. I've done rum and Diet Coke here and there. Not that the carbonation is great for you, but well, I mean, hey, I'm learning from the best. What do you want me to do? I'm trying. So I'm trying. So no doubt about it. But again, we're talking to Lola Acevedo. If anyone watching wants to join the chat, join the show. We've got some great people, and in particular, want to thank all of you for checking out. JD, Claudia, a lot of your friends, Miss Roman from New Mexico, and Lorraine Laddish, amongst many things. Lola is the founder and leader of the Viva50.com brand. So she has a blog specifically geared towards empowering women in their 50s. So when you talk about the financial literacy piece for people in that age group, you definitely a lot of areas, I'm sure, for collaboration. Also, Lorraine is one of the most incredible yoga enthusiasts I've ever seen. I mean, her dedication to yoga is amazing, and she's good people. So everyone joining the show today, really appreciate it. Lola, I was checking out your blog the other day, and the latest blog you have at the LolaChronicles.com talks about habits and the fact that you're not destined for these bad habits. The universe does not make laws; it has habits, and habits can be broken. So I'm really struck by that, because you talk about our culture and the good, and the good and the bad, right? So we've got things in terms of the modern diet and other cultural mores that we have to reinvent
Yes.
ourselves so we can stay true to ourselves, but stay healthy and be the best we can be. So just why don't you share with people your thoughts on that you shared on your recent blog post about habits.
Okay, so habits were meant to be broken, I think. I just think that you can have a good habit, but gratifying habits can easily become bad habits. So it can be, I don't know, it can be drugs, right? Or it can be overeating. It
Yeah,
can be a
that's
sexual
right.
indulgence. It can be anything. My mother used to say que todo en exceso es malo. Like
Mm,
everything in excess is bad for you. So you never want to push yourself. But just because you have a habit doesn't mean you have to leave that habit there. Doesn't mean it doesn't have the opportunity to change, or that you can't mold it or create it into something different and create it into a good habit, something healthy for you. And I don't only mean like food and stuff like that, like toxic relationships, they can be a habit. The dependency
oh,
that people can
absolutely.
have, that
Oh, yeah.
sometimes in that particular blog, I talk about giving of myself. And I had gotten to a point where I forgot for a minute, hey, wait a minute. I need to love Diana, and that's not selfish. That's not selfish. And I had to step
That's
back a
right.
little bit, from social media, step back a little bit from toxic relationships, step back a little bit from even some work related issues, because I needed to remember that I create my happiness, and I can't continue to give everyone else without giving myself. I need to make sure that I handle what's going on here. And like, remember when I said every day is not cotton candy and rainbows? And that's where that comes from that article. It's that, you know, every day is not going to be the best day, but handle it the best that you can. You're going to do the best that you can with the hand that you were dealt. And that's nobody's
That's right.
opinion or business how you handle it. That's yours. It is individual to you. And the opinions of other people, that's just their opinions. They don't matter. What has to matter is how you feel about what you do at the end of the day. How you're going, does it allow me to grow? Is it holding me back? Is it making me sad? Is it making me happy? So you have to evaluate it and sit back and say, "Espérate, time out. Diana needs a timeout. Lola needs a timeout. I need to reevaluate. I have been giving a lot. I'm a person that I love to give back to the community, and at times I have a tendency to overextend myself. But it's so satisfying. It's so
Yeah.
gratifying when you're able to make a difference.
Yeah.
And
When you love it, it ain't
yeah,
work,
when you
right?
love it, it ain't work. So but
Yeah.
then when you're doing too much of it, and you forget that the person who's doing it, which is you, matters more than anyone else, you have to evaluate it, and you have to make sure that habit, good habit, does not become a bad habit. And that's what that's about.
Hmm. Very powerful. And again, you're listening and watching Lola Acevedo from the Lola Chronicles, just sharing an incredible personal journey. And let me tell you, Lola, your Dominican mother taught you well, because you have the phrases, you have like those
Yeah.
sayings, and you really know how to sum it up. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna just look forward to reading more and more of your blogs,
Awesome.
because you really have a way of crystallizing these messages that are very impactful about life, investing in yourself to service others, and the things we need to do to just be more of ourselves so we can service other people. We have no idea how much the impact we can have with people in the world, and we've shared many of those stories. And just to get back to something you mentioned earlier, Lola, it's very important for people that I can imagine there's people listening to this and people that we collaborate with that, first of all, I admire people like you and I for just putting ourselves out there in these forums. And
It's not easy.
and one of the things that people always mention to me is like, "Hey Ray, how do you know all these amazing Latinos?" I'm like, "Well, I leave my house and I interact with the world, and more people need to open their eyes to the contributions that our community and so many more other people make." And I said, well, that's why I started this show, because I felt greedy, Lola, not sharing all these people with everybody, and activists and friends and people like you that we've known for a long time, and have just so much to share. And Lola, let me tell you something. You think, with all due respect to the local media outlets in Delaware, that's just the start for you. There's no doubt about it. We need you on on a national platform. That's
Thank
why
you.
we're drawing you out on here, and we're gonna definitely provide you that as time goes on. But a few things I want to kind of reemphasize that you said earlier that really struck me was that we all feel like we're in a place, like we're in this. Many times we can feel like we're in this huge hole that we can't climb out of. And the main thing is, like you just said, first of all, you have to take one step at a time. If you have 15 minutes a day to work on it, whatever that is, whether it's exercise or blogging, trying to figure out your voice, dealing with financial planning, take that 15 minutes. I did a show about a month ago with a co-host, Maria Florio, una Italiana. Much respect. She'll probably be watching this out of Naples. She lives in Naples in the summer, which is very nice. And then we talked about it. I said, look, from using half hour on lunch break, using commuting time, and a few other, cutting out 20% of the average TV watching, you could save 3 months a year. So everyone's got some time.
Yes.
The question is how committed you are to using it, and celebrating those small victories. And the other thing you said, Lola, was you can't do it alone. I mean, you mentioned it. You're running 5Ks with friends, with people that are encouraging you, people supporting you. People aren't saying, "Oh, you're going too slow," or you don't look that great in those pants. You're not dealing with haters. You're dealing with a positive support network. So I just wanted to reiterate those things. Lola, you got so much to share. Please share one other thought you have as we start wrapping up this amazing conversation with Lola Acevedo from the Lola Chronicles. Give us some more wisdom, my friend.
Okay. Well, I think persistence is really important. So I would tell anyone that believe, of course you're believing in yourself. Positive affirmations are great. So I write these positive affirmations on Post-its and put them all over my house so my kids can see them. And they're really important and they enjoy them. And I switch them around and I change them. So you have to be consistent and be persistent. So like, what did they say about the river? The river cuts through the rock, not because it's powerful, but because it's persistent, right? So we need to make sure that we are persistent in our goal and what we want to do, and understand that it doesn't happen overnight. I wrote an article for Voz Latina, the first article that I wrote for them. And I talked about the New Year's resolution and how everybody gets stuck on like the New Year's resolution, right? So what about being happy for one moment, but what you have accomplished? Instead of trying to say, I'm gonna run out and I have to, okay, this year I have to gain 20 pounds, get my PhD, do my, okay, relax. How about you take 5 minutes and that new year, sit back and say, look at everything I did in 2015. Look at everything I accomplished in 2015. Look at what persistence got me. Look at what believing in my worth got me. What being genuine and authentic got me. And that is what I really would like people to understand. It all starts with you. No one else, you. Because the haters are always going to hate. They're always going to be there. You always have the criticizers, and you always, I get some of those emails and stuff too, the who do you think you are stuff. And, I don't pay attention to those people. I'm like, check them out. The fact that you gave me 5 minutes of your time, Papa, that tells me everything, So
that's exactly right.
So when I think about that, I want people to believe. I want you to believe, and whatever you believe in, stick to it. Stick to it.
Right.
And the person that you should, or the thing that you should believe in the most, other than faith, because I'm very big on that, is that you need to understand that you're worthy, that you're here on this earth with a purpose and a reason, that you have life and there's a purpose for it. There's a reason. So do something with that. Whatever makes you happy. If cooking meatballs every day is what makes you happy, then cook them. Okay. If doing yoga every day makes you happy, then do it. So long as it's not a habit that's going to lead to your self-destruction, then you should pursue it. You should believe in yourself enough that you can do it, because you're the one that counts. The bottom line is the affirmation has to come from you. You have to know that this is what I'm going to do and this is how I'm going to do it. And remember that there's going to be ups and downs, good and bad, but you're going to get there. If you really love yourself and begin to love yourself, get there. You may get that in self-help books, in reading Lola's blog, in seeing some of the videos, in anything. You may if you can find something you can relate to, then attach yourself to it. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That's right. And wow, Lola Acevedo, you've been an incredible life force on the show. And again, just to reiterate, even if it's as Lola began with personal journaling, and engaging in some of this content, I really believe very strongly that you have to spit it out. So again, if you're not ready to have a published blog or make YouTube videos or do podcasting, it's really important to share in whatever mode, even if it's a confidant or again in journaling or in some other way, because not only is that going to make you feel better, on some level, you're going to likely find like-minded people. You're not going to feel as alone because then you're going to realize, there's other people going through the same thing.
And energy.
But also,
energy.
That's right. And
energy.
That's right, because it's again, in this journey, I would have never thought that a coworker of mine would have been going around a whole staff retreat talking about, hey, look what Ray's doing, look what Ray's doing. It's okay. I mean, I was like, and I'm so enthusiastic about this, but it's so gratifying because it gave this person and I was in my small way able to provide this person the gift of providing them a voice. And it gave me an opportunity to get to know this person. I had no idea, her philosophies on life. And, I mean, she's got so much to share in this genre as well. And I look forward to continue to collaborate, and I'll make sure you guys get connected. Lola Acevedo, as we wrap this up, let people know before I have one last question and one other thing I wanted to talk about real quick. Give us, again, repeat your social media, where we can find your social media, where we can read and follow your wonderful blog and content, because you have also some great Instagram and Facebook posts as well. And shout out your event. I know coming up May, very exciting to have this this very important community activity in Delaware in May.
You can find me at thelolachronicles.com, thelolachronicles.net. You can find me at the Lola Chronicles on Facebook or my regular page. All the posts that appear there will appear on my regular Facebook page, which is Diana Lola Acevedo&nbsp. But the event is a really big deal because kindness is contagious. And we need to make sure that we give back to our communities and that we make an impact on our communities when we're able to. So the event is it's with Casas con Nosotros. And the Lola Chronicles is sponsoring an event on May the 14th at Skyline Middle School in Wilmington from 11 to 5. And there is a plethora of community services that will be available, all bilingual. Everyone there will have a representative at their table that speaks English and Spanish. Most of them are fully bilingual, all tables. So they have more than one person on there. And it's everything. It's a little bit of everything. And the important part is that it's going to get the community together. It's a family event. So we'll have face painting, balloon animals, and moon bounce, all that kind of stuff for the kids. And of course, we have to put the Zoom in there for the health aspect for the children and for the adults.
Well, y'all just want to dance a little bit. You want to do a little salsa merengue. That's all it is.
But we want as many people to come out and support the event so that it can be possible again, because we don't want this to be the first time it happens.
I really hope we can figure out a way for you to be a regular contributor, Lola. And I want the next time you're on, from now on, it's just a co-host. And we're going to go back and forth and talk about the hot topics that's hitting our community and our families and ourselves, and bring on other guests we can interview. So really excited for you to be part of the family. And again, just want to thank Tabitha Castro that brought us together, a great friend, and all of the mutual friends we have from the Latinas in Motion posse. I think one day I saw the picture from the sort of Philadelphia area delegation, and I easily know 20 or 25 of the Latinas in Motion. They're all great friends, awesome people, committed to the community. And I'm just so happy that they're banding together for fitness, because we need these women around for a whole long time and healthy and happy and with their families. So just much respect, Lola, to your network and just an incredible group of people. And again, just want to thank Lola Acevedo from the LolaChronicles.com, who's been an incredible ray of light here on today's Race Talk Show. Again, you can version of the show and the podcast, which you can download on iTunes, anywhere you can listen to a podcast, including now Google Play. So really excited. As a smart guy and someone that was raised right, I'm Lola Acevedo, the final word. And Lola, the stage is yours. Anything else you'd like to share with our Race Talk Show family?
Don't forget ever that your dreams don't have an expiration date. You are worthy, you are great, and you need to live in your greatness. You're beautiful in every way. And that doesn't mean physically. You're beautiful.
Thanks for listening to Ray's Talk Show. For more insights from your virtual Big Brother, Ray Collazo, and the Big Brother Ray community, subscribe to Ray's Talk Show at BigBrotherRay.com or on iTunes. To my rays of light, keep shining.